What measures has the government taken to avert massive layoffs and job losses during this COVID-19 time?
Yeah, and from where I sit, in Kenya, we have about 2.9 million formal employees. And we have about 14.5 million informal employees, people who earn, let's say, hand to mouth or small and medium enterprises. These are the people who are most affected by this pandemic, and it has occasioned massive losses in terms of production and also in terms of jobs. I would give examples. There are people, Mama Mboga, those who are hawking. If you stand today on Kenyatta Avenue or Koinange Street, any point of Koinange Street in Nairobi, in less than 5 minutes, you will be stopped by very decent-looking people who ordinarily would have been working on their own daily chores and duties and earning a living. Today, they can, if they even hawkers are not earning because there are no people in town. So honestly, this problem is really affected us in a big way. In the formal employment, those who have pay slip, they pay NSSF, NHIF, they have a pay slip. We have agreed as follows, that we give all these people who have been asked to stay home normal leave as a contribution towards fighting this pandemic of 30 days. Thereafter, we extend by another 15 days. If the problem persists, then we will have another 30 days half pay. If we go beyond 3 months, then we might have to resort to leave without pay. Now, these are measures that we're trying to progressively manage the problem, because equally we could have a social problem by having so many people without jobs. You can imagine the entire 500,000 people in Naivasha and Thika who are in flowers, or all of them at home. We could imagine the entire aviation industry. Our airwaves and skies have been closed as a way of addressing this problem, not because of any reason. And it has led to job losses in Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, who are regulating the flights, in Kenya Airports Authority, who are managing the airports, and also within the airlines. So we have there again almost 50,000 people are potentially going to be laid off. We also have people. Now that is formal. In the informal sector, we have the Mama Mboga, we have the Matatu fellow, we have somebody who is selling hawking in town, we have somebody who has a kiosk, M-Pesa shop, we have people who are running small restaurants in the villages and in the peri-urban areas. Now these fellows have lost income. They are no customers because they supply, it is a part of a chain. They also feed into the formal sector. So now they have no jobs and they have lost income and they are basically redundant. So as a way to address, government is discussing two options. Number one, through a stimulus package, the government has announced 10 billion shillings to address this problem through the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. Number two, the Ministry of Finance, Treasury, has also come up with a package to support the small and medium enterprises with.
So in an overview, for those in the formal sector, you've recommended and come to an agreement to go on a normal leave for 30 days, then extended by another 15 days. Then if this still persists, they go for another 30 days on half pay. Then beyond 3 months, what are we looking at beyond 3 months?
Beyond 3 months, then if the situation doesn't change, it means employers will not also be able to sustain any pay, and they might ask their workers to go on unpaid leave, to remain on unpaid leave. You are still on employment, but no pay. And we have to formalize those arrangements because claims can arise later from workers or workers and employers.
Kenyans might want a reassurance that indeed these measures that you've put in place, especially in the formal sector, that you have had this conversation, or rather the Labour Ministry has had the conversations with the various stakeholders, and that their jobs are secure up until at least for 3 months. Is that an assurance that you're giving as the Labour Ministry?
Now, between COTU and FKE, of course, everyone, every unit is pitching for its interest. Workers are saying, don't lay off. Don't declare redundancies yet. We are yet to feel the pain. The pain is yet to be, the hardest, the toughest days are yet to be. We are yet to get there. And then what employers are saying, we are not in production and we have no revenue and we cannot sustain. Now, for the measures that we have agreed as a Labour Ministry is, one, in a normal situation, Ministry of Labour is supposed to enforce, to regulate, and to protect collective bargaining agreements. So we have agreed we are suspending all the collective bargaining agreements that had been finalized or that were in discussion. We have agreed that we are suspending any pay increase that were already registered, and we have also agreed these are all meant to protect the employers, because we cannot have employees without employers. So we must balance as a ministry. And these are different times that we are playing a different role. We are playing an arbitrator role where we are listening to both sides of the divide, the tripartite. So other than those, we are also working on creation, like in other jurisdictions, of employment insurance fund, where an employee loses a job, not out of his mistakes or employer's mistake, but because of force majeure cases or epidemics or pandemics like these ones. So we are saying, going forward, this may not help in the current situation, but we need to foresee such a situation in future, so that we have a contributory fund where if an employee loses a job because of such circumstances, you have been contributing possibly 200, 300, 500, just the way you contribute your NSSF. When this happens, and the employer also make another equivalent or double to secure your future. So if this happens, you have about 7 to 12 months of pay as the situation unravels.
Kenyans have had high expectations, comparing how different countries are handling, their citizenry during this time. We have South Africa with their stipend. We have the United States of America of up to amounts of even 150,000. From where you sit, do you think we have the capacity? And I know you've mentioned the issue of sustainability. The capacity, how do we manage our expectations as Kenyans? We're expectant, and we're expecting some few coins to come through our mobile phones or somewhere to go collect this money. Are we overstretching our imagination, or can this really work?
But we are equally losing those waivers and those measures that government took means a reduction in revenue for government. So we are not, maybe in this time we may not be able to intervene in the style and manner that US have done. But what we would want to say is we have in a small way supported or minimized the pain. The turnover tax are meant to cushion those who are doing something and they are filing returns, the registered enterprises who are employing 1, 2, 3 people who could be in informal sector. That now, instead of now paying 5%, you are now asked to pay 3%. We have also this VAT. Every purchase that we make you are meant to pay 16%. Now we have reduced it to 16%. So the real impact of our intervention will be felt possibly as soon as we manage or overcome this pandemic, because that is when people resume work and they will want to move faster, they will want to build their momentum, and maybe through loans and small support We can give them easy loans. We can give them easy packages, and we can even come up with an affirmative decision that government will now be procuring services purely from this sector, from this informal sector, to give them a jumpstart them back to business.
Over 1 million Inua Jamii beneficiaries are to receive 8,000 shillings to cushion them during this period. We'd want to know this 8,000 shillings, what period does it cover? Because initially they were getting around 2,000 shillings per month.
That money is covering January, February, March, and April. And those are 4 months, each getting 2,000 per month.
Now, this is the people who were already registered. There are people who were not registered.
True.
How is government getting to support these people who are still, they fall under the vulnerable group?
Yep.
How are you getting this who are not registered in this platform before?
So, this 10 billion is now, discussion are ongoing in government on how to address those concerns. You know, informal means a lot of work has to be done to trace, to drill down to the real beneficiary, so that we avoid duplication or one person benefiting from many government intervention.
And what timelines are you looking at? Because the monies apparently have been declared, so we have the money. So it's not the issue of the money, it's the issue of finding these unregistered, vulnerable people in society. What are the timelines we're looking at?
We are actually working is going on, and I think we'll be making announcement this week.
Now, just to digress, there is the issue of the voluntary pay cut by our parliamentarians. Yes, I see you smiling there. It's this are servant leaders, and that's what we wanted to believe. What's your take?
And we signed. It's not just announcement. We have signed. So we have asked our employer, Public Service Commission, to deduct 30% of our pay from our salaries towards supporting. We may not solve the entire. We may not solve, but this is meant to demonstrate, to show our empathy, to show that we stand with our government, we stand with our people. We want to see this money going towards the medical workers. We want them to get additional motivation, additional income, so that they are inspired.
So these funds are going to the emergency response kitty?
Yes, these monies are going to be consolidated, and they will be utilized towards interventions many interventions that we are proposing.
For how long are you going to be taking the pay cuts? We've said
we have agreed for 3 months, and then we will review after 3 months. I want to say that this pandemic we shall overcome. We will fight. We are united as a country, and we will rise and fall as one people. And I want to urge all Kenyans to observe all the guidelines and advisories from government, either from Interior, from Ministry of Health, and even from all the agencies government involved in this fight.
So as we go on, is that we've been asked that you and I maintain the laid down precautionary measures so that we come out on top after COVID-19. Life goes on. I'm Regina Manyara-Gitau, Channel 1 Business.